using Pixton for really any assignment that you're working on. Once you get logged in with your class code, you should come to some steps where you'll create your own avatar, make it look like you. You can use it in the projects you do or not. That's totally up to you. But that's what you'll do first. And then when you get logged in, you'll be able to make a new comic. There might be different projects input already that you'll be working on, or you can just say continue with no activity. And that's what I'll do for this. What's nice is they've made some changes to the way Pixton works, and so I think you'll like it a little better if you've used it in the past. It's organized over on the left with the menus, and they're in the order that you most likely will use them in. So you'd start off with the background, and then every single menu has a search option, so you can search for something in particular, or you can just browse and see what comes up as their kind of recommended backgrounds or characters, objects, whatever it might be. But if you have something specific, you can search for it. Let's see, maybe I'll do playground. And if I search for that, you'll see there are quite a few options. So I'll just pick one. And it'll make that your background. You have some other options too with backgrounds. In particular, there's these abstract backgrounds, which might work for different things that you might be doing. But you can also, if it's an outdoor scene, you can change the weather. So if you wanted to make this park look like it was having a little bit of a blustery day, you could do that. You could add rain, things like that. So, or you could just go to none. So you can look through that and see what you want to do. There's also the option to insert a photo. So if you would prefer to draw the things that you're going to do for like a graphic novel or a comic and you want to bring them in, you could just take a picture with your Chromebook and then bring it in, and then that will make your photo that whole background. So you could do that and then just add another and insert the next photo, and you could basically create a digital version of your whatever you've drawn, which you could then have saved for whatever, and be able to share it with multiple people. So that might be kind of a nice option too, if that's something you would prefer. So I'm gonna go back here. Go back to my background. Okay, so I have this. And then if you want to add some characters, you'll see that you can add a person. Depending on what you're doing, this feature might not be turned on, the tunes. I usually have to keep it turned off. But they are there. If it's something you want, you can always come and see me and I can maybe activate it. Usually you'll see your classmates. And if you use one of them, make sure you check in with them. Be courteous. But they're also just basic characters that you can start creating for your own that kind of started them off, depending on what maybe you want a scientist or whatever you might want to look for. Let's see. That doesn't really work with my background, so let me see if I was try athletic. Sure. So I could start creating this person. Or you also have the option of real people. You could search for, various different people that mostly they're people that are well known. And then there are also literary figures, so people from different books that you might be reading. For instance, you might see different complete books where they have several of the characters already put in there for you. So you could choose people like that. And you can also edit those characters as well if there's something about them that you feel like is not the way you want them to look. You can add another person. So you can add multiple people in each scene. And then when you have a person in the scene, you can also just pick them up and move them around. That you weren't able to do that in the past. That wasn't something you could do, but you can now. And then you go through, maybe you want your character to hold something. You could change what they're holding. Here you can choose which hand you want the object to be in, and you can also search for what it is that you might want. You can see there's lots of different things in here. They're adding more all the time. So it's just making it so you can make things a little bit more realistic, or maybe more what you're looking for. Maybe I'll look for a jump rope. I don't know why it's hiding that for me, but that's strange. I guess not. Well, anyway, the other option that you have, go back, is in any scene, you can change the focus. So let's say that I'm going to duplicate this panel so that it's really easy to go to my next one, but I don't want it to look exactly the same. So if I go here to where it says focus, I can choose that same scene, but in a little bit different perspective. So maybe I want to zoom in a little bit on my character, but in that same position. You can see that it just makes a really quick transition to a new look and lets the reader know that something's changed in the scene. And you can also choose, there's some that are dramatic. Zoom up, zoom way out and see the character. There's different optional location that might be related to whatever you're in currently. But I'm just going to stick with that one. I think that one's pretty good. And then you'll get to words. So the word, there's a couple options here. You can add words for the particular character, and you can see they've changed this as well. You can add a speech bubble, a thought bubble. It can be shouting or whispering, so whatever works for you. If you're doing something in a foreign language class, there's accents all down here, so make sure you're using those as appropriate. If you click on what you select, you can do two things. You can type in what you wanted to say. Okay, I could do that. So there's that option. Or I'm going to delete that. And I could say, hello, I'm Sherry Balance. And you could speak. So you can use the microphone if that's easier for you, or if it's something you prefer to do. So there you go. And then the other things that you have options for, and this is kind of as you're going through, you might want captions. You know how in graphic novels they kind of tell you things that are happening in the story, or they might tell you like moving time. Maybe they'll say something like a few days later. Okay, and then that'll be a caption at the top. You could also do the same thing at the bottom, depending on what works for your comic. And then the other thing, well, this one, if you were going to do that, it'll cover your entire scene. So use that sparingly because you'll lose a whole panel. But if it works, if that's what you want, use it. And then there are sounds. These would be like your onomatopoeia that are in a lot of comics. You know, they kind of give you the sound effects, different things happening. So you can add those in. There's a lot more than there used to be. You can see there's many. So you could add those. And you can, again, move things around. And then you can change the expression of your character. She's talking, so I'm going to search for that. No. There we go. That one looks like, yeah, there we go. Okay, so I have that. You can change the eye direction. So maybe I don't want her looking out at the reader. Maybe I want her looking at another person, and I would need to go back then and add another character. So here, maybe I'll add myself. I'm going to delete that because that doesn't make sense. Okay. And then, again, I could move myself around, whatever you think works. And then you can also change the body poses of either character. It doesn't really make sense, but it's funny. So there you go. You can edit to your heart's desire and see what works. There we go. I like that. And then go to the next one. Again, you can choose to duplicate one of these, or you could do something new. It just depends. And then once you're finished and you've got everything so that it makes sense, you have conversations going between your characters, their expressions are good. I'd probably change the expression on my face here because I don't quite look. There we go. That looks friendlier. So I keep going and, create your story, make it look like what you envision. And then you'll say you're done. You'll name it. I'll just call it a test. And then it will give you a preview of what it will look like. If you publish it, it'll be ready to share with other people. So once you do that, you can go to the share button here and go right here. You can copy the link right there. Okay, and then you can submit the link to Canvas to turn it in to share it with your teacher. So it's pretty easy. And I believe that is all I have for you. So again, log in with your class code, get going, make your avatar, make it look like you, and then be creative. Make what it is. Tell the story you want to tell. Have fun. Good luck.